Thank you all for joining us. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to log on, and we will begin shortly. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining us. Here are some tips for participating. Cameras and microphones are disabled for participants, so you will only be seeing our panelists and presentation today. You may opt in to use closed captioning by clicking the 3 dots visible on your screen and selecting the closed captioning title. The Q&A feature is available for questions about the Dove Lewis Pet Loss Support Program. Please include your name and email address, and we will follow up with you after the event has concluded. You can also use the Q&A feature if you need technical assistance, which we will respond to as soon as possible. The chat feature will be open during the slideshow at the end of the program for sharing comments. Feel free to share your thoughts or memories with the group if you would like to at that time. And remember to use the Q&A function for any questions or comments you would like our panelists to respond to, as the chat feature will be unmonitored. Hello, and welcome everyone. My name is Deborah Lee, and on behalf of Dove Lewis and the Pet Loss Support Program, I extend a heartfelt welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us today for our virtual service of remembrance. We are holding today's service in proximity to Love Your Pet Day, with an acknowledgement and deep understanding that the grief that is present in this space today is truly a reflection of the profound, abiding love we have for those cherished animal companions that are no longer with us. All of us who are here today understand the depth of the bond that is formed with a beloved companion. It's difficult to fully describe or capture the richness of that relationship in words. Our companions become so intimately woven into our lives through the little everyday moments, those routines we create together, the big life changes, and everything in between. They're a steadfast presence, so much so that they can feel like an extension of ourselves. They're our best friends, our babies, our anchors, and our teachers. They offer us comfort and they bring us joy. They help us grow during their life and even after they are no longer physically with us. And so we are here today to reflect, honor, and remember those important furry, scaled, and feathered family members of ours, these beings with whom we built a life and who helped us become who we are. It is normal and natural that as we reflect, honor, and remember our dear companions, our grief will also be present. While everyone's experience with grief is distinctively their own, a unique reflection of the specific bond that you shared with your beloved companion, please know that you are not entirely alone. There are so many others who are walking their own journey of grief and love alongside you. Please know too that the love you have for your companions and the love they had for you will not leave you. That love endures, even in the absence of their physical presence. They are forever a part of you. Today, your grief, that sadness, the pain, the anger, the missing, the longing, and the bittersweet memories and tears are seen. I welcome you to be here as you are, with those tears, with a gentle smile, all the things and everything. The loved ones that you hold in your hearts matter so deeply. These relationships matter. And here in this space together, please know that your love and your grief are understood and respected. I believe we are the lucky ones to have had the gift of their lives and to know that deep love, the kind of love that makes your heart expand and grow bigger than you thought possible. I believe there will come a time when the balance of having this great love in your life will help you carry the pain of their loss. The time when perhaps you can endure the sadness of their absence because you had the gift of their unconditional love. Those bittersweet moments when laughter may be tinged with gentle tears. I want to acknowledge everyone who is joining us today for deeply loving and caring for your special companions. I'm always humbled in the presence of everyone who joins us in our pet loss support spaces. You are all truly the most dedicated and loving family members to your precious companions, and I know that for all the love and joy your companions brought you, you also gave them so much in return, giving them all that love and showing them all that care. I hope that this time that we are together today serves you in reflecting, remembering, and honoring the beloved companions that have shared your life. You're one of a kind, sweet, dear, and deeply cherished family members. I wish you peace and comfort, and I hope that this day helps you draw your companions a little closer, bringing their memories near as they are forever in your hearts. And joining us today to share about her beautiful and enduring bond to her beloved companions, her sweet kitties Gretchen and Dory, is Regina. I believe Regina's sharing of profound love, grief, and hope will resonate for all of us here today. I hope you find some inspiration, comfort, and connection as Regina shares her abiding love and bond with her sweet Gretchen and Dory.
It was 2003, and it was just my boys and I. Nathan was 7, and Noah was 3, and they had been asking if we could get a pet for some time. But I wasn't sure if I could handle that on top of these rambunctious boys. It wasn't something I purposely set out for. My friend Jen worked at an animal hospital where they did boarding as well as medical care. In late October, there was a wildfire burning in the mountains near us, and the towns were being evacuated. A client of the hospital brought in their pregnant cat to be boarded until they could come get her and take her home. After a week or so, the hospital tried to contact them for them to know that she had her babies and it was safe to come pick her up. The number was out of service and they never came for her. So here was this mama with her babies that were abandoned and needed homes. In early December, Jen calls me from work and asks if I could meet the last kitten that needed adopted. I wasn't sure if I should because I knew I'd be coming home with it, but it seemed like the perfect opportunity and timing. So I gathered up the boys and off we went. When we met her, she was so sweet, beautiful, and adorable, as most kittens are, that we all immediately fell in love with her and took her home. She was a gray tabby kitty and just so precious. We had so much fun getting all the kitten stuff she would need to feel at home. We decided to name her Dory after the character in the movie Finding Nemo. It was one of the boys' favorite movies at the time, and our baby Dory was just as spazzy as the character in the movie. That she was just as fun and crazy, and we loved her. About a week later, I had this weird and crazy dream that was out of nowhere. I was calling to a cat down the hallway and patting my leg. Here, kitty, kitty, come here, Gretchen. And where that name came from, I still have no idea. The next morning, I couldn't get it out of my mind. So I called Jen to ask her if the mama cat was adopted yet. She said no, but then she said, "You're coming for her, aren't you?" And I giggled and I said, "I'll be there in 30 minutes." So once again, I gathered up the boys and off we went to get Dory's mama. When I saw her, I immediately knew she was special and she was one of the prettiest kitties I'd ever seen. She had beautiful stripes with orange and gray in them, and she had the sweetest, most beautiful face. Being only 1.5 years old when she had her baby, she was a pretty small kitty and just perfect for a lap. I learned that day. Okay, yeah. Okay, where am I? Okay. Being only a year and a half old when she had her baby, she was a pretty small kitty and just perfect for a lap. I learned that day that her previous owner had named her Frickin', like Frickin' Cat. I couldn't believe that it sounded so much like Gretchen, the name of the kitty in my dream. How amazing is that? I feel that we were all just meant to be a family. I brought her home, and it was like the girls had never been separated. They sniffed each other and licked each other, and then Gretchen laid down and Dory started nursing on her. It was like no time had passed for them. And from then on, they were bonded for life and were always together. As they got older, we quickly saw who was whose kitty and who they picked as their own. Gretchen became attached to me and was always with me, either on the couch, on a blanket, or under a blanket, or sleeping with me. And boy, did she love blankets. She didn't leave my side. She was my mama kitty, my girl. And oh, how I loved her. Dory, on the other hand, was attached to Noah. She actually bonded with him pretty quickly, as you can see in one of the photos. He could carry her around, put her on his lap, and as crazy as she would just stay there with him. And at night, she would sleep with him on his pillow right above his head. And then she would just hang out there. Even as he got older and went to school, she was on his bed waiting for him to come home. When my husband Joe came into the picture, it was hard enough to find a man that would be willing to take on a single mom with two children, let alone two cats. See, he grew up with dogs and he was a self proclaimed not a cat lover at all. So it would be interesting to see the first time he came over for dinner how things would go with the girls. Of course, they were a little shy at first, but after Gretchen sniffed his pant legs, she decided he was okay and just started rubbing her face on him and meowing for him to pick her up. It was so funny and took him by surprise. But what he didn't know was that she didn't like men at all. But after this, her and Joe became good friends, and the family joke for years was that Gretchen picked him, not the other way around. They completed our family, and it was so fun watching them grow and be so wonderful. They each had their own personalities and were so different yet so alike. We all loved them so very much. They moved with us 4 times, and one move was an out of state move that was so stressful on them. But we made it, and we all made it together. April 29th, 2019, about 3:30 in the morning, our dog Maverick needed to go out to go potty. So I got up to let him out at the sliding glass door in the dining room. But on our way, he stopped and touched Dory with his nose, as she was usually sleeping under the bookshelf in the living room these days. But she didn't move. She didn't wake up like she usually would, and I knew something was wrong. I went ahead and let Mav out and called to her, over and over, calling her name until I realized she wasn't responding. I walked to her and knelt down to pet her, and she was gone. And she had been gone for some time, and I wasn't with her. I didn't know she was sick. She never acted sick. She wasn't injured. She was just here in the evening, then gone in the early morning, and it was one of the worst days of my life. After I gained what composure I could, I woke up Nathan to get his help. I didn't know what to do or who to call. My husband was gone for work at the time, and Noah had moved out a few years earlier, so it was just me and Nathan. I knew I had to call someone, so I called Dove Lewis to ask them what to do. We had already been somewhat prepared as they were getting older, and we already knew we wanted to have them cremated and with us when that time came. Nathan and I laid her on a blanket. We let Gretchen sniff and smell her so she would know, but she had already known and just walked away. We wrapped her up, and when we got to the lobby of Dove Lewis, they knew who we were and led us to the comfort room to say our goodbyes. The hardest goodbye since 2008, when I had to say goodbye to my grandma. It was awful, and just as awful for Nathan. She became his kitty after Noah moved, and she would sleep with him now. The hardest part of being there was not just saying goodbye and handing her over, but seeing on the paperwork the letters DOA. She didn't come in sick or injured. She was just already gone, and I lost it all over again. I found myself having to take time off of work and just didn't know how to cope with such a loss. I think it was so painful because there was no warning, no sickness, no injury. But you know what? I took and still take comfort knowing that she was safe at home with us in one of her favorite places under the bookshelf. I wouldn't have wanted her to go any other way. but I knew I wasn't okay. I had learned about the grief support program from the flyer they gave me at the hospital. I had no idea what to expect. I just knew I needed something to help me. So I started joining the online groups from home after work. It was so comforting to find that others were suffering as I was. Our grief seemed to bring us together like a community that only we could be a part of. As awful as it is to be a part of that community, it's a beautiful experience to find that kind of support and compassion in a safe place where we could all understand each other. And I was grateful for this outlet. We were without Dory for only 7 months when Gretchen became very ill and we couldn't get her into our vet right away. So to Doug Lewis again, we went. And this time Joe was home and we took her together. She was very sick and we made the decision to leave her there in the ICU for a few days to do testing and try to get her better. That first night when the results came back, I waited by the phone anxiously and had the doctor call me anytime when the results came in. The phone finally rang and she said that they knew why she was sick. Gretchen was in kidney failure. I went numb and just cried and cried because I knew what that meant. It meant that it was only a matter of time until I lost her too, and I wasn't ready. But then you never are. They kept her for a couple more days to get her stable and came up with a plan for us to take her home. And I visited her every day. And even when they were busy, they made sure we had time with her for those few days. We took her home on a special food diet and a plan to have her closely monitored by her doctor. She did okay with care, sub-Q fluids weekly, and that prescribed pet food. But in January, it was apparent that she was tired and just did not feel good anymore. I had spent 2 months trying to keep her with me, but I knew it was time. I loved her too much to let this go on. I was devastated that only 9 months ago I lost baby Dory and now I'm losing Mama Gretchen. It was more than heartbreaking and more than I thought I could bear. I made the decision to have a veterinarian come to the house to help her. It was important to me that she was at home and not at a hospital. It was a special time with her beforehand. I gave her treats. I held her in my arms and kept telling her how much I loved her and thanked her for her love in return. And she was gone. Once again, I was absolutely devastated and needed my community to help me. I attended the in-person service of remembrance just 3 weeks after her passing, and I was a mess. I cried the whole time, but I found kindness in others, not judgment. I found comfort, understanding, and in others who shared in my pain. We lit candles for our beloveds, and I had two right next to each other for my girls. It was beautiful and sad at the same time, but I wasn't alone. I started to attend the online groups more faithfully for a while after that and have always made it a point to attend the services of remembrance to honor my girls. I love talking about them and sharing stories and pictures with them, whether the pictures be of just them or us in them as well. It doesn't matter. I miss them every single day and at night when I go to bed. I miss Gretchen sleeping with me, and I miss Dory being at the foot of the bed. They are always and will be my girls forever and will be missed. I have been on both sides of this grief thing. I have lost a beloved fur baby suddenly and with no answers and not knowing the illness. And I have been on the other side where I planned to let her go. Either way, it is heartbreaking, but I know I am not alone. I know that I have others that understand and respect my grief space. And that means so much when we have that. It's important to have others to share our stories with, our hurt and our grief, but also the love and joy that they brought to our lives. I hope my story has helped you in some way. Know that you are not alone, and we all know that grief has no time limit. If you find yourself needing a safe place to share your grief, you have found that place here. Thank you for letting me share my girls with you, Gretchen and Dory. Thank you for being here, and I wish you love and healing as you remember and honor your beloved fur babies.
Thank you, Regina, for sharing your sweet Gretchen and Dory with us. I'm always so honored and deeply moved when people share the incredible love they have for their companions. It is an immense love and profound grief, and I hear so much of that in what you have shared with us today. I'm sure it resonates deeply with everyone joining us as well. Thank you. And today, as you honor and remember your dear companions, I encourage you to be extra gentle and kind with your tender hearts. Treat yourself as you would a dear friend, with understanding, compassion, and care. And I know that all of us, with deep understanding in our hearts for this love and for this grief, wish each other peace and comfort on this day of remembrance. We memorialize our loved ones to honor them as an everlasting tribute to a life well lived, deeply loved, and worthy of remembering. I invite everyone in this moment to perhaps take a deep breath, and as you exhale, think your beloved companion's name. While their physical presence is no longer with you, hold those memories, the joyful, the silly, the irritating, the sweet everyday memories to sustain you and continue to connect you to your loved one. And I extend an invitation to everyone to join our pet loss support groups as it serves you. Connecting in community with others and giving voice to your feelings and experiences can ease the isolation of grief. There may be comfort in joining with others in a space where you are welcome to truly come as you are. And now we invite you to join us in honoring your pet with what has in the past been our candle lighting ceremony. We received photos from many of our participants today, and we will honor them now with a slideshow. We welcome you to light a candle where you are and think of your favorite memories with your companion. The chat box is now open for you to use and share your memories if you so wish. If you would like everyone attending to be able to view your words, please remember to select all attendees in the drop-down above the text box for the chat. We thank you again for choosing to honor your pets with us here today. This concludes our virtual service of remembrance. Thank you again for joining us. The service has been recorded and will be available on the Dove Lewis Pet Loss support page for later viewing. We hope our time together has served you in keeping your beloved companions close in your hearts. We will close the webinar in a few minutes at the conclusion of the upcoming song. I wish you peace and comfort as you move through the rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.